What's going on, guys? This is VinylicPuma, back with another Fallout 76 video, and today I figured I could go over or chronicle 10 of what I think are the biggest Fallout 76 related blunders and fails. Now, before we start, I should probably reiterate that this video is only going to focus on the major controversies, blunders, and other fails surrounding Fallout 76 itself, and won't get into some of Bethesda's other major controversies over the years, including things like Skyrim paid mods or Fallout 4's Creation Club. Also, and while I had originally intended on ranking all of these by severity, I instead decided it would be better to cover these chronologically or in order. That way, it helps prevent some confusion surrounding when certain events occurred and can serve as a reference for people that are unfamiliar with the timeline of all of these blunders. One more thing, but I would like to mention that if this video gets about 2,000 likes, I will make a sequel. After all, a lot of Fallout 76's recent controversies and blunders seem to be ongoing, and it seems possible at this point that there may very well be even more blunders surrounding this game going forward. So if you think you might be interested in seeing something like that, feel free to leave a like and a comment in the comment section below. Otherwise, and without further ado, these will be 10 of the biggest Fallout 76 blunders and fails, starting now. Number 1. The Fallout 76 Brotherhood of Steel retcon. While Bethesda has performed a number of retcons to the Fallout lore over the years, I think the blunder surrounding Fallout 76's Brotherhood of Steel was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. This particular controversy came to fruition as a result of a lot of the gameplay footage from the Greenbrier event, where people began to notice that event attendees were coming across Brotherhood references in terminals, notes, clothing, and even a few insignias in their gameplay. At the time, this obviously upset a lot of people because the Brotherhood's appearance in the game didn't make sense with previously established lore, which suggests that the Brotherhood of Steel were still in the Lost Hills bunker until 2150, long after the events of Fallout 76, which take place in 2102. While an official explanation was given in the form of a tweet from the official Fallout account how the Brotherhood used satellites to extend their influence to other parts of the American wasteland, it still didn't explain things like the Brotherhood's black and red color scheme, which was first introduced in Fallout 4 and is a game that is supposed to take place roughly 185 years after the events of Fallout 76. So at the very least, I think we can certainly say this entire retcon wasn't especially well thought out, and in theme with this entire video, was pretty blunderous. In the end, it's safe to say that fan reception to the Brotherhood of Steel retcon was largely negative, and in combination with the general reception to a lot of the Greenbrier event gameplay, it made a lot of people concerned about and skeptical of Fallout 76 before the beta periods even started. Number 2. Fallout 76 deletes itself on PC. Before Fallout 76's first beta period on the PC, many PC gamers, myself included, had decided to preload the beta onto our PCs. However, as soon as we tried to start the game during the first beta period on October 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern, the Bethesda.net launcher ended up deleting all 50 gigabytes of Fallout 76, thus forcing people that were affected to re-download the entire game, which would count against your home internet data cap or just take an incredibly long time. This blunder didn't really inspire much confidence in the Bethesda.net launcher, as Fallout 76 was forgoing most PC gamers' preferred platform of choice, Steam, in favor of Bethesda.net. To Bethesda's credit, though, they did ultimately decide to extend the PC beta period for the very next day, thus allowing PC players that were affected by this glitch with the launcher to potentially make up the time that was ultimately lost. Even still, though, I do think it's a blunder that's worthy of mentioning, since having a game delete itself is pretty uncommon and likely unintentional. Plus, and like I said earlier, this was likely a major issue for those that had slower internet, as well as those that have home internet data caps. After all, having to re-download a 50 gigabyte game for something that wasn't your fault is definitely frustrating. Number 3. The Fallout 76 Twitch livestream with Ninja, Logic, and Rick and Morty. Fallout 76 had a lot of really weird promotion leading up to the game's eventual release. As for some things that come to mind, there was a lot of weird cross-promotion with sports a la the Philadelphia 76ers, as well as with UFC fighters like Anderson Silva and Robert Whittaker. However, I think the biggest promotion-related blunder probably had to be the Rick and Morty, Logic, and Ninja Fallout 76 livestream. Aside from the sheer cringy as well as how do you do fellow kids vibes that one might get from the mere suggestion or proposition of something like this occurring, the actual stream itself was characterized by a total lack of chemistry between all three personalities. You also get the feeling that the personalities themselves really didn't want to be there, and worse, they didn't really seem to have any experience with the Fallout games. With Ninja reportedly referring to Radaway as Raidaway, and Logic supposedly saying at one point that he didn't really even know how to play the game. To be fair, I can't really blame any of the personalities involved, but at the same time, I almost feel like Bethesda would have been better off if they had just had Ninja or Justin Roiland with a Bethesda employee, rather than do what they did. I guess the whole motivation behind this livestream was to recreate the famous Ninja and Drake Fortnite livestream, which skyrocketed Fortnite to new levels of popularity. However, I think it's fair to say that in Fallout 76's case, it definitely didn't work out. Overall, I think the entire situation showcased just how out of touch someone at Bethesda or ZeniMax is with the audience that they were trying to sell Fallout 76 to. Especially when you consider that Ninja became popular for competitive esports and battle royales, where Fallout 76 is a game that's meant to be more of an RPG/casual type of experience. Maybe there's some crossover there, but for people that are already consumed with and by Fortnite, they're not going to give Fallout 76 the time of day. Number 4. Bethesda backtracks on Fallout 76 refunds. One of the more perplexing Fallout 76 blunders involves the circumstances surrounding Fallout 76 refunds. At one point, it seemed Bethesda actually agreed to refund Fallout 76 on PC, as evidenced by some Reddit users that mention as much in the pictured post. However, in other cases, Bethesda seems to have promised to refund Fallout 76 and then ultimately backtrack entirely, claiming that by downloading Fallout 76, you are no longer entitled to a refund. Specifically, Reddit user ZP Kane goes on to mention that he contacted Bethesda one day and that they told him that, quote, "We'll begin processing the refund as soon as we can, and we'll reach back out to you via email to let you know once we've started that process." The very next day, he receives a message saying, and I quote, "Customers who have downloaded the game are not eligible for a refund. We apologize for the inconvenience." The reason this is bad is that it's terrible customer service, and by extension, awful PR. Anyone that has worked in customer service knows the worst thing you can do is promise something and then go back on it. To make matters worse, it also looks bad when you consider that Valve with Steam already has a very good refund policy and allows consumers to refund a game so long as they haven't played it for more than 2 hours and they bought it in the last 2 weeks. Much like I mentioned earlier with Fallout 76 deleting itself, the whole situation didn't inspire a lot of confidence in the Bethesda.net launcher, which according to Pete Hines was being used in place of Steam to ensure, and I quote, that our customers have the best experience possible. In reality, I think we all know by now that Bethesda abandoned Steam and backtracked on refunds for what are likely monetary reasons. Ultimately, if Bethesda had simply fulfilled the refunds they had initially agreed to, they might not be under quite as much scrutiny as they are now. Because I do think the whole issue surrounding Fallout 76 refunds on PC, along with the state of the game itself, ended up being a catalyst for a number of the controversies to come. Number 5. Fallout 76 Power Armor Edition bags as advertised versus as received. I suppose technically, this is a blunder that's both ongoing at the time of making this video, and also encompasses multiple blunders. But for the sake of simplicity, we'll just focus on bags for now. For the uninitiated, when Fallout 76 was revealed at E3, it was also revealed that players could purchase or pre-order a Power Armor edition of the game, which included a variety of cool merchandise, including a steelbook case, a T-51 Power Armor helmet, a Fallout 76 Game World map that glows in the dark, and 24 collectible figurines. The controversy, however, primarily surrounded the included carrying bag for the Power Armor helmet, which was advertised as being canvas and not nylon like the ones customers received. When the issue was brought to the attention of the Bethesda Gear Help Desk, a service associate simply said, and I quote, "We are sorry that you aren't happy with the bag. The bag shown in the media was a prototype and was too expensive to make. We aren't planning on doing anything about it." Obviously, this poor response blew up on Reddit and across the internet and had many gaming news outlets talking about it. In an attempt to rectify the situation, Bethesda issued a series of statements saying that canvas bags couldn't be made due to an unavailability of materials and offered purchasers compensation in the form of 500 atoms. Many were upset about this due to the whole situation being a clear example of false advertising, and the whole controversy continued to escalate, with fervor increasing over the revelation that influencers that had been invited to the Greenbrier event had received bags made out of canvas, while paying customers received nylon. This reflected poorly on the unavailability of materials statement that was given by Bethesda earlier. Eventually, and after significant public pressure, Bethesda agreed to replace the nylon bags with the as-advertised canvas ones. As of the making of this video, this whole controversy is actually still ongoing due to how Bethesda informed people that it would take 4 to 6 months for Power Armor Edition purchasers to actually receive the canvas bags that they had paid for. In the end, it will be interesting to see what the canvas bags finally look and feel like once they're finally received by customers, and hopefully, this whole controversy will have a positive ending. Number 6. Bethesda's Power Armor Edition data breach. As the canvas bag controversy started to come to a close and Bethesda agreed to replace the nylon with canvas bags, Bethesda had requested that those affected should file a customer support ticket to receive their canvas bag. However, on December 5th, and after some reports of some users being able to see other people's customer support tickets, Bethesda eventually came out and disclosed that customers who had applied for a canvas bag replacement may have had their personal data leaked. In Bethesda's words, there was, quote, "an error with the customer support website that resulted in the exposure of a limited number of customer support tickets." Bethesda went on to mention that the exposure window lasted 45 minutes and that fewer than 123 support tickets may have partially or fully been viewed by others. They went on to mention that of the 123, no more than 65 customer support tickets that contained personal data may have been exposed. As to what personal data was revealed, they did mention that things like people's real names, usernames, email addresses, phone numbers, and proof of purchase information appeared to have been leaked. So essentially, for a short period of time on December 5th, if you had filed a support ticket to get your replacement canvas bag that Bethesda was originally supposed to send you for your Power Armor Edition, you had potentially had your personal data leaked to others. This, of course, was already on top of all of the frustrating blunders and controversies involving the Power Armor Edition bags already. And fortunately, while no password or credit card info was leaked, I imagine it was still pretty scary for those that were potentially affected. Number 7. Fallout 76 game updates. Now, I actually had some difficulty placing this entry since some of the issues I'm about to mention occurred before the canvas bag situation. However, given that Fallout 76's last major update was on December 19th, 2018, and this was before a few other major blunders I'm about to discuss, it feels fitting to discuss Fallout 76's game updates now. A lot of the game updates for Fallout 76 have been almost as blunderous as the game's many controversies. During the beta and closer to launch, Fallout 76 had absolutely massive 30GB and 50GB updates, which on top of requiring players to re-download the game on PC or even just download the initial beta files on console was pretty ridiculous. Especially when you consider that the Fallout 76 beta's size was only 50 gigs or so, which seems to suggest that Bethesda was likely making people re-download entire portions of the game in order to put out patches. Fortunately, and since then, a lot of the download sizes have gotten smaller. Unfortunately, and for PC players, a lot of the updates that occurred and were promised were pretty lacking. In particular, many PC players were especially upset with the widescreen update for the game, which appears to have simply been an INI edit that most people were already capable of performing themselves. That, and apparently there has been a mod for Fallout 76 that allows players to implement proper ultrawide support, which I do think brings into question whether or not Bethesda's ultrawide implementation was truly their best effort. Aside from these aforementioned complaints though, Bethesda also came under fire for the implementation of stealth nerfs, which greatly alter the way the game plays but are updates that aren't necessarily disclosed to players. For example, Bethesda has allegedly decreased the rates at which legendary creatures spawn and experience is gained, thus making the game a lot more grindier and being a lot like something Bungie tried to pull with Destiny 2, which really ended up hurting Destiny 2. Overall, while Fallout 76's updates have done good things like correcting the physics being tied to frame rate issue, many updates have proven controversial to say the very least. That, and in the case of certain features like push-to-talk and ultra-wide support, I think it's fair to say that those things should have never required updates in the first place and should have been available day one of the beta. Number 8. The NUKA Dark Rum Controversy. For the uninitiated, Nuka-Cola Dark was Nuka-Cola's attempt to enter the alcoholic beverage market in the Fallout universe. As a means of creating some cool promotional merchandise to commemorate the launch of Fallout 76, Bethesda decided to partner with Silver Screen Bottling Company to produce a product called NUKA Dark Rum, which would basically be some rum in a Nuka-Cola-shaped bottle for $80. The bottle admittedly looked cool, and I suspect this was a big reason a lot of fans ended up purchasing it. Originally, NUKA Dark Rum was expected to ship on November 16th. However, on November 21st, Silver Screen Bottling Company sent out an email informing purchasers that, quote, the product was not up to Fallout standards and it would ship in the coming days. Fast forward to December 5th, where purchasers were informed the packaging was finished, alongside the release of a YouTube video that showed how the rum was both being bottled, along with the reveal of the NUKA Dark Rum's ship date. Fans were pretty upset that they were misled and essentially paying for what was a generic rum bottle in a plastic Nuka-Cola casing. After that, reports from reviewers came out that the rum itself tasted pretty bad, on top of the fact that the plastic Nuka-Cola casing actually made the rum harder to pour. Understandably, many were upset they paid $80 for what was essentially a cheap bottle of rum in a plastic casing, where the appeal the whole time was the cool bottle that the rum would come in. While not Bethesda's fault directly, the decision by Silver Screen to both delay the bottle to meet Fallout standards, as well as the actual quality of the product, did reflect badly on both Bethesda and Silver Screen Bottling. This was amongst all of the other controversies that had occurred thus far, and served as yet another Fallout 76 merchandise-related blunder. Number 9. Making people write essays for quote-unquote cheating. While I can understand Fallout 76 is an online game and modding needs to be at least somewhat restricted to not interfere with the multiplayer experience, I think it was incredibly dumb to make players write an essay in order to get their bans removed, especially given the amount of scrutiny both Bethesda and Fallout 76 are currently under. For those of you not in the know, this issue came to light when people noticed they had received emails from Bethesda noting that they had been banned for cheating due to their accounts being detected for running third-party applications, which provide an unfair in-game advantage. Bethesda informed them that they would lift the ban provided they wrote an essay on why using third-party applications was bad. Understandably, this really upset people since while it's likely actual cheaters were getting caught through this system, people that have been modding Bethesda's games for years also allegedly got banned for using things like Reshade. Plus, the situation was controversial due to how it wasn't entirely clear what third-party applications were getting people banned, as well as whether simply having a third-party application like Cheat Engine installed but not running on your system while playing Fallout 76 was triggering a ban, indicating that Bethesda's anti-cheat may not have been sophisticated enough to tell the difference. As it pertains to the essay specifically, many found this in poor taste, and a few quips were made at Bethesda's expense, mentioning that it should be Bethesda writing an essay to the gaming community to apologize for Fallout 76. Wisely, and as of the making of this video, it appears the essay requirement has been lifted based on this Reset Era post being shown on screen, So on the upside, you don't have to write an essay anymore. That said, the fact that the essay request happened, I think, was a poor decision. And finally, number 10, the bomb silo glitch/bug. At the very beginning of this year, on the 1st of January, Fallout 76's player base encountered an issue where silo access was locked with a countdown timer of 9,999 hours. In addition, the Scorched Officer enemies that spawn so you can retrieve silo codes weren't spawning either. Bethesda support eventually confirmed this was happening and took down the entire game temporarily for a hotfix on January 2nd, where the issue was fixed within the same day. It's speculated this whole situation occurred due to faulty coding with the game's timers, where the developers had apparently not accounted for the new year of 2019 and had only really coded the game for 2018, which would make sense since this issue occurred with the beginning of the new year. The reason this was or is ultimately a big deal, though, is because basically the entire endgame for Fallout 76 consists of entering these silos and launching bombs at various parts of the map to spawn creatures that have a higher chance of dropping better loot. So essentially, when all of this was going on for the short period of time it was going on, the entire endgame and reason for continuing to play after you finish most of the story didn't even work, which I would say is a pretty big deal. It's certainly not the most high-profile or most detrimental of the blunders we've discussed in this video, but it is surprising that this entire situation occurred. Alright guys, I think that's going to wrap up this particular video. I meant to get this video out sooner, but I needed a little extra time with it, and I hope you guys were pleased with the result. As always, like this video if you liked it, click the bell so you can be notified when I upload more videos, and as always, and again, thank you all so much for supporting this channel. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.